Hey, True Believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with Brave and the Bold, issue 28. This comic book is one of those milestone issues that you have to have, and man, do I wish this was an original copy. But I've looked at, prices for an OG book, and just no. But after reading it, it's definitely one that you need in your collection. Why do I say that? This is the first appearance of the Justice League of America, as well as Starro the Conqueror. Now, real quick, the print date on this was March 1960, and because editing back in the day were really bad about this, they didn't really put who contributed on the book, so I had to look it up. The writer was Gardner Fox. The penciler was Mike Sikowski, not Mike Wazowski, Mike Sikowski. The inkers were Bernard Sachs, Joe Gila, and Murphy Anderson, and the letterer was Gaspar Saladino, and I believe that's how you pronounce their names. But the way that they introduce, I like how they give you the OG logo, all of the core members with Starro tentacling out to each of them, just a very cool concept. And even though this was kind of corny the way they would do this back in the day, I love how it says, "Foes of evil, enemies of injustice. To the mighty heroes of the Justice League of America, all wrongdoing is a menace to be stomped out. Whether it comes from outer space, from the watery depths of the seven seas, or the spring full-blown from the minds of men. Banded together to fight all foes of humanity, the mightiest heroes of our time battle the menace of Starro, the Conqueror." And I just keep hearing the announcer from the old Super Friends cartoon in my head when I read that. So take that as you will. But just a great way to introduce it. And we start with Aquaman and how Starro has traveled across, billions of miles of interstellar space seeking a planet like this one, teeming with intelligent life. And right off the bat, again, this, you can't say the innocence, but the naivete of the 60s. He goes, "My friend Peter, the pufferfish." Now, yeah. Anyway, so another thing that I liked about this time period of these comics is even though they were corny, it'll say here, it says, "A short time ago, while floating upside down on the surface," and then there's an asterisk. And it would teach you something. They would say, "By swallowing air into the special sac beneath its throat, the pufferfish becomes inflated like a football, whereupon it rises to the surface and floats upside down." The editors and writers knew that young kids read these. So I appreciate that they put a little bit of science or whatever was going on into the books. And I kind of wish that they would still do that. I mean, I know that the books are more mature, but it'd be kind of neat to have some stuff that you'd learn along the way. Now, anyway, Starro takes just 3 regular starfish and converts them into minions. And here we have our threat. Aquaman has to use his, what is it called? The ultrasonic vibrations caused by solar power on Aquaman's A-belt. Okay. But then we jump into Wonder Woman, and she's telling Steve Trevor that she can't marry him until her services are no longer needed to battle crime and injustice. And it's like, boy, patient man, Steve, I give you props, sir. And this was a pre-original Crisis on Infinite Earths, so Wonder Woman at this time couldn't fly. She had to use the invisible jet, which I'm so glad that was retconned. Yeah, kind of like how they used to have to draw the Invisible Woman, how it reminds me of, what was that, Rugrats. Remember when they kind of did the superhero thing and they called her Dotted Line Girl? That's just how the Invisible Plane and the Invisible Woman always reminded me, is the dotted line things instead of, and I love that Sue's invisible, but, her powers have since become better. Let's just put it that way. And then, sadly, Superman and Batman are a little MIA in this, but that's, I guess, during this time period there was another story going on, so they gave them a cameo at least to show why they weren't present for this meeting. And then we focus on Hal Jordan, which is awesome because Hal was always my favorite Green Lantern, followed by Alan Scott, the OG, then John Stewart, then Guy Gardner, and then, of course, Kyle Rayner. And then Jessica Cruz later on after she got the power ring from, what was it, the Crime Syndicate from the original Power Ring before he died. Just good stuff there. And then, of course, Batman, too, he was kind of MIA in this because I guess there was a story where there's this huge crime spree going on, which, hey, Bats, you know that there's a Earth-level threat, and it is what it is. And I love how here in this story as we progress, Flash really stands out because I guess he's supposed to be like the chairman of the Justice League at this time, and the way that he's able to utilize the team and move them about, it just really makes Barry shine in this book. And then after we kind of bring everybody together, here is our now retro Justice League secret headquarters. All they're missing are those old school hanging ball lights and stuff like that, and maybe, it's green, but I bet you that carpet has to be shag. Now, anyway, Aquaman explains what's going on, and what I was talking about with Barry. Gotta go back. Such is life. He says, Green Lantern, cover the territory around the Rocky Mountains. John and Wonder Woman, you both tackle the agents who go to the Science City, and I'll handle the other mission myself. And he goes, Aquaman, you'll patrol the sea depths in case Starro makes any more giant starfish, and alert us if you learn anything. And so the story breaks up into chapters. We get the first one with Starro versus Green Lantern. And it's interesting. Again, the artwork is great. Though this one feels, because, Hal's part of the Air Force, this feels like very much like a war novel. And I like how Gardner Fox here, as we go into each story. So as I said, this one feels more like a war story with atomic energy and all that good stuff. And then we jump into Starro versus Wonder Woman and John Jones. And this one it feels more scientific. And what I'm trying to say is I like how Fox is able to just handle each tone. He gives it the proper feel that it needs for each story. So we get a war story, we kind of get a more of a scientific one. And then the last one, Starro versus Flash, it was good. This is where Starro learns that he can mentally control people. But there's a character that's introduced here. It's a first appearance, and I've never heard of this guy before. If you all have, let me know down in the comments. But he ends up in Happy Harbor. And we are introduced to Snapper Carr. And he goes, this grass mat is the coolest. Wait till Daddy-O casts his orbs on it. Snap, snap. Oh, you can definitely tell this is the 60s. Wow, that hurts. But as Snapper goes to talk to his dad, I'll tell him I'm finished. Hey, what with the family circle? Where they're beating their feet to? He's just got that, Daddy-O, cool cat. And again, that was the time. So I understand why it's put in the book, but going back, it kind of makes you cringe a little bit. Like, that's bad. But each generation has their own thing. So, no cap, because I'm Seuss. Just kidding. I'm not even going to go there. And so here, this is where this other drone says, people of Happy Harbor, you are under my mental control. When I give you the order, you will go to... Wait! One among you is not under my influence. He must be destroyed. And so even though Snapper in this book, he gets to be with his I don't know if that was the beatnik or I don't know who, the Daddy-O's and I'm not sure. But anyway, even though he's aggravating, he's kind of the key to this whole book on how to defeat the Starros. Anyway, as we get into it, the last story is Starro versus the Justice League. And what's neat is at the beginning, as we just saw, how Starro was saying he took 3 small starfish and made them his minions. He goes, my starfish deputies have been destroyed, but not before they completed their missions. The atomic energy of the first deputy was relayed to the second. The second transferred the scientist's knowledge to the third. And from the third, I learned I can control human minds as it controlled them. The Earth is mine. He's saying that this is his first attempt at trying to conquer a planet. He goes, I had to test my powers of these humans by using 3 agents. Now that I've succeeded, I can conquer the universe. And just when the Justice League thinks that they kind of understand how to beat the starfish, Starro flips the script and makes it just as hard. But because of what we learned with Snapper Carr, there's a way that he's defeated. And I don't want to get into it there. I don't want to spoil the whole book for you. But just seeing how the team comes together. And as I said, even though it's the 60s, the artwork is serviceable. And it just gives you those nostalgia feels all over. It makes you feel right at home just seeing Barry and Hal working together. John and Diana kicking ass and taking names. And then apparently Snapper becoming an honorary member of the Justice League as he approves with his... Which, when I do that, I want to hear da-da-da-dun. But anyway, enough snapping. That is Brave and the Bold issue number 28. Yes, it is a product of its time, but right there, look at this thing. That is a classic cover right there. And I love this Justice League logo. I'll always love that one the most. No matter how much they try to revamp it, that to me is always going to be the logo. And I have to appreciate what James Gunn did with Starro and the Suicide Squad. How the stars took over people. It was quite violent and interesting. So I'm kind of glad that it was a little more innocent in this book because of its time. But seeing how it's evolved over the years, interesting take. And with that said, my little hot take that you guys are feel free to discuss with me down in the comments. I am not a fan of Jarro, who is the Starro of the Justice League. That I don't know. I kind of wish that Scott Snyder had introduced that character. But I could be wrong. Let me know some reading material. Maybe it might change my mind. And with that said, if you guys have enjoyed this comic book, if you got the green Daddy-O, grab yourself an original copy. If not, they do have reprints. This one was only $4, so get your hands on it while you can. Because I've been noticing that reprints of older books are getting harder to find as well. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Starro bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.